It's time. Lock, load, put on your Infinity Gauntlet and grab your lightsaber. This is Nerd Talk. Presented by WeBeam TV. Hello and welcome to Nerd Talk. As you can see, the zombie apocalypse has taken its toll. We've lost at least one, if not two of our members here.
Yeah, we're down to a cast of three today.
We're down to a cast of three, and so this is it. This is all we've got, and fortunately, we have great content. Yay!
Well,
yay, Kermit Flail. Okay,
great. Is great really what we're shooting for? I think we want exceptional, and we'll accept great.
Maria.
Well, let's get started.
Wow, jumping right in.
Okay, we're going to lower the bar.
Not even going to say hi. Not even going to say how things have been.
We got to have the build up. No, actually, do you guys have a good weekend?
What is the nerdiest thing you did in the last 7 days?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I got to speak at a couple libraries to tell Halloween stories. And then went and then, of all things, went to the May Stringer house, one of the most haunted houses in Florida. We're gearing up for Ghost Fest.
I read there were no ghosts in Florida.
Oh, yeah, I read that article, too.
Did I read that article wrong?
It was the dumbest article ever.
You know what? It was written by a ghost. Yeah, actually, it was ghost written.
But May Stringer house, they're setting up for Ghost Fest, so we got to go there a little early and check out the house all by our lonesome. They're setting up the haunted house outside like they always do, but this year, it's actually going to go into the May Stringer house. So October 30th. So
people can actually die.
Don't miss out. We'll be there telling ghost stories that night. They're doing this weekend as well, but we will be at Spooky Empire this weekend. So that's where I'll be talking.
You were speaking at 2 times at a library.
Two different libraries.
Well, no, but you were in
Crystal River, same county.
Okay, same county. Now, did you already do that, or is this?
That was Friday.
Oh, I missed
last Friday.
Dang! I wanted to go hear you, see you.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I went Friday morning, Coastal Branch, and then Friday afternoon was in Central Ridge Branch, and they're about 45 minutes apart. And it was pretty cool. It was a fun. Hey, telling ghost stories. Get in the car. Hey, telling ghost stories. Get in the car. Go home and hit.
Yeah, because you were way north.
Yeah, I was up Crystal River. So.
Yep. So I want to remind everybody, before we move on to our next step, if you go to webeamtv.com/live, you will find us there, and you can chat with us and knock with us. That's just webeamtv.com/live, and we're all good. Pay no attention to that random hand. It's like,
I was pointing to the chat.
Oh, thank you, Thing. What is the nerdiest thing you did this weekend, or this week?
This week, I'm here.
You said that. We got that.
Yeah, it's been a very slow week.
What'd you watch? Did you do anything? Come on.
Yeah, not nerd related. I was a vendor at a wine festival on Friday or Saturday.
Well,
and I participated.
Nerds whine all the time.
Why isn't DC making this comment?
Wrong kind of wine.
There you go.
We're talking, good adult beverage.
Yeah, but there's some good nerdy wines out there. I used to drink the Klingon blood wine from the Las Vegas Star Trek experience. That was actually a pretty solid red.
Yeah, I don't think they had that there.
Oh, see, that's their problem. So
they missed out. But other than that, I participated in a golf tournament. Like I said, very non-nerdy weekend.
Very good. Very good.
I want to say I watched the first new Jumanji movie, and not the sequel to it, but the first one with The Rock and
Karen Gillian and Jack Black.
Amy Pond.
Amy Pond.
Jack Black.
You didn't head up
I got to tell you something. I thought it was freaking amazing.
It's great.
I loved it, and you know what? The Rock can act.
Oh yeah.
Because when he has to play Smolder and Spencer, and it's like the game takes over his behavior in the middle of him being like a neurotic teen who's worried about acne, and then suddenly he's just like, oh, Smolder.
Yes.
It's like
stuff.
It's awesome stuff. Awesome.
I saw the original, and that was it.
The new one was pretty good.
I'm looking forward to the sequel now.
Almost 8 years old now, 10 years, because the second one's almost 3 years old. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Time flies when you're having rum.
Yeah. Yep.
Join me.
Need to add
And now
a
they
few
did the
more
third one. They
movies.
called it Jungle Cruise, but it was the same movie. No.
No, it wasn't. There was a completely different everything in that one. So,
You didn't
so,
head
yeah,
up to Renninger's for the Steampunk Day?
I
could've
certainly
sw-
did.
was
I
gonna
had
say,
some pictures
that had
there.
to be the nerdiest
That
thing you did.
that's true. You know what? I forgot about that. Yeah, it was up there, just hanging out with a bunch of friends and talking smack about things that needed to be talked smack about, and which really wasn't anything. Ran into some surprisingly great friends, Janet and Chuck Levengood. Actually did not recognize Janet. Her makeup was so good. And, but Chuck, of course, it's so funny because she's like 5 feet tall and Chuck is like 6'4". And they're a couple. And so when you see them out together, as long as they're next to each other, you know exactly who they are. I don't care how they're dressed. But yeah, no, Chuck and Janet do amazing costumes. She works at Disney. And Chuck used to work at Disney, and so they have great stuff. So I got to give a shout out.
Well,
to
it
them.
did look pretty fun from the pictures I saw. I was sad I didn't get to go, but
It was very cool, and the weather was
Steampunk fun.
fantastic.
Yeah, the night, our three
Can't knock
random days
that.
of fall that we've got here in Florida right now. So.
Yeah, yeah. We had one on Sunday.
Sunday was great.
Oh, Sunday was amazing.
And we'll get another one coming up. So.
Yep, soon.
All right, so let's get into the topics.
Dig in.
All right, so first up tonight is the Ethan Hawke new movie. Let's see here, Nightmare,
The Black Phone.
The Black Phone.
Yeah.
And,
Which-
talk
That
about
is.
psychological thriller as much as it is horror.
Yeah, I'm not much on horror either.
Oh,
And-
you
wow.
poor
No,
people. So.
But the premise of this looks pretty cool. I mean, you've got a phone that's disconnected, and all of a sudden, all these former kids who had gotten abducted and killed are now trying to help you escape.
Right.
And your sister's
Yeah.
getting all these visions and figuring out where you are. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks amazing. We'll watch the trailer here at the end then, because that definitely looked pretty cool. I'm a big fan of psychological horror, so it's always my favorites.
I love the blending. I mean, you had you're leading up to it, and it's like all very normal, missing kids, being kidnapped, yada, yada. It gets a little weird with the black balloons, and, and it's like, it's a small town. How can you not catch someone at this?
Yeah.
Which is always like that huge faux pas. It's like, oh, yeah, 68 people live in town. We can't figure out, who the murderer kidnapper is, despite the fact 67 people have an alibi.
Yeah.
And, but then it just takes that twist. And it just looks phenomenal.
It does.
Yeah.
This is one I will actually go see.
All right.
Yeah. Is it a theater or?
I believe.
Yes.
I thought it was a Netflix thing, but we'll find out.
There we go.
I gotta double check.
We'll find out when we watch the trailer.
Yeah.
So hang on to the end of the show. That's your tease.
There we go. Tease, tease, tease. Next one. This is a little bit of a surprise. The Mandalorian is shutting down production again. But this time it is not because of COVID. They're shutting down production in anticipation of the union strike.
STE.
IATSE.
Yeah. And so it's like you're shutting down before you're facing the strike, and which could be averted.
It
So
could be, but it is not looking like it's going to
it's not looking real good right now.
No.
No, they're,
And,
they're not close at all, and they're
Yeah, no,
No, and
one
I-
party hasn't even approached the table yet.
Yeah,
so-
I mean, yeah, that's a problem when you have one party at the table. It's hard to reach a compromise.
Yeah.
And basically, the way I understand it is you're looking at your production workers, and if they work on a theatrical release, they get paid like $60 an hour. But if they work on a streaming release, it's $15 an hour.
Yeah, it's,
yeah. For
And
the
they're
same
like,
one.
hang
Well, they don't
on,
get
hang
any
on, hang on.
residuals, They don't get any line money. They don't
Yep.
get anything. But this dates back to back when even early cable channels I remember this is a big deal on MythBusters. Is that, they
Yep.
sell the show. It's a one-shot deal. They can run that show 100 times, which they did. They ran it 1,000 times, and they never got a single residual from that. They just got the upfront pay for that.
Yep.
And that's the way that shows have always been, and that's what the streaming networks started as. But now we're getting stuff released straight to streaming and straight to this and straight to that. So now it's like, okay, these guys who make a living doing this stuff, the pay structure needs to be different. It needs to be a little more. If some of these are winning Oscars, some of these are getting limited film releases, stuff like that. Well, where does the pay go for that? How do we deal with that?
It's not as if they're not doing the same kind of work.
Yeah. Now, like one of the things I've been following is the recent Kickstarter for the new Mystery Science Theater season that they wanted to do. They got kicked off Netflix, and they did their 2 seasons on Netflix. They wanted to do their own. They were tired of dealing with Netflix.
I'm going to say something probably a little controversial. I have never had to turn off an episode of MST3K before, but I was sitting there watching one, and I'm like, this is bad. Is it Joel?
The new Netflix one?
Yeah.
The new Netflix one, that's Jonah. Yeah.
Jonah. I mean, literally, I'm like, dude, you look bored and tired.
Yeah.
And you're not funny. You're not engaged. You're not, this isn't happening. And the jokes sucked.
Yeah, I was a big Mike fan myself. Joel in the OG, he always looked like he was half asleep sometimes and all that.
Which I was okay because he kind of played off that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but Mike Nelson was phenomenal.
Well, he was the head writer for forever, so when he got in front of the camera, it just showed. And now, he's doing riff tracks and all that, but they're coming back for the new season as well. Mike's going to host an episode of the new season.
Thank God.
So, and they've got Emily, the new girl who's been doing the stage show one.
In the not-too-distant future?
That's in the not-too-distant future. But anyway, they made a big deal because they just finished their Kickstarter and they just started working on things, and everybody's like, oh, is the strike going to shut this down?
Ooh.
But no, because they use non-union, and they prepay, and all the things they're paying for their people are exactly what the unions are asking for. So they've already met all those goals on this.
Right.
But they're still doing it non-union because they just want their people to be paid right.
There you go.
So, and that just shows you if you treat your people right, you don't have to deal with it.
And and you're going to have your show come out on time.
That's a Richard Branson philosophy.
Yep.
If you make sure your employees are happy, you're going to have a
That's a lot of businesses that are, the happier businesses and stuff, and some of the most successful ones. So.
Yep.
Exactly.
So that's where, again, we've got that going on with The Mandalorian. So what is up with Daisy Ridley? What's going on?
Whether you like the final 3, the sequels for Star Wars, Daisy Ridley did really well. She's not going anywhere. She's going to be back. She's been talking with the bigwigs. I mean, it's unconfirmed at this point, but from what we're hearing, she's been talking with the bigwigs over at Disney. We're going to see more of her. And quite honestly, if they're going to continue Star Wars, they've killed the Skywalker line. Yeah. They're gone. The only person that really makes sense to move it forward right now is Rey.
Yeah, who took the last name Skywalker, but she's adopted. I
will stay mum on the subject. On this one,
Rey is my spirit animal.
We could eat the next 45 minutes, me just going off on this. So I will just say, I know she's going to be in future projects because they use Lego Star Wars, they use all these other things, and they've been using some of the OG actors in this, so it could be anything. We'll see. This was still just a meeting, so I don't like to comment on rumors and speculation.
Oh, I love to comment on those things.
She's going to be involved one way or another.
Oh, yeah, something.
Yeah, well, you know what? They could just deep fake her and they don't need her anymore. Yep. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Chuck. Hey, Chuck, you're over there at webeamtv.com/live. Watching us and chatting. Thank you for tuning in.
For those of you on the Facebook, remember the chat is now on WeBeam TV, not Facebook, because Facebook's being wonky and we don't want to deal with that. So.
Nope. So we have our own platform here and we have our own discussion. Yay!
We do appreciate you watching us any way you can.
Any way you can. Mark.
Oh, yes.
This is huge.
It is. I'm wearing an appropriate shirt for this with my Headless Horseman here. Last year, for the first time in forever,
hint, hint.
The Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown was only available on a streaming service.
Yes.
It was not
Apple
on
bought the
broadcast television.
Yep.
And that was a big to-do. That's been since I was a kid, since before I was a kid.
Yeah.
People, Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown every year.
Yep.
And then, but no networks wanted to deal with it. And because Apple bought the rights and they were charging an arm and a leg if you wanted to air it.
No. Well, if anybody else wanted to air it. Now, they made it available for free for people to view on all the holiday specials.
But you had to watch it on iTunes or the Apple TV.
Right.
And so, that was great, but if you didn't want to install iTunes or Apple TV,
And it kind of lacked that shared national experience.
Right.
Which used to be the same thing, I don't know if you remember, but The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
It's a
that was a
tradition.
huge
every holiday.
thing.
Yep. Was it Thanksgiving?
Whenever, no. No, it was just like August. It was September or something. It was like everybody's all gathered in the living room, bowl of popcorn. We're watching The Wizard of Oz, as did everybody else in the country.
It's kind of like Sound of Music, too.
Yeah.
With both of them. They were holiday staples.
Yeah, and now it would have been, tweet along and all that would have been the modern equivalent. That's what we do with when we watch Joe Bob's specials on Shudder, because we all do the tweet alongs with Joe Bob and stuff, and that's hysterical fun.
Yep. But last year, that
Yep.
It
did not happen.
It had nothing to do with COVID, obviously, but it still added on to making 2020 a really weird year.
It's going back home to CBS, where it all started.
No,
right?
not CBS.
No, not CBS. It's
PBS. Yes, PBS and PBS Kids. So it's actually going out to public access, which means you can get it with your rabbit ears, and you can watch it there. They also stream a lot of their programming online, so if you don't have an antenna or cable, you can catch it there.
It's just going to be weird not watching it with the crazy commercials. So
I think it's going to be
nice.
Awesome to not watch it with the commercials.
Everybody's so used to watching the different episodic shows through Netflix and Prime and whatnot.
Yeah.
There are no commercials.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
Anymore watching regular TV with commercials
it's
seems
funny,
to
but
stretch.
now, of course, it's only going to be 21 minutes long.
Yeah.
Instead of 30. But instead, they should use it, and have their telethon commercials in the middle of it, because it is PBS. And
we will see.
Hi, we're going to break
all I know
now.
Is, I got to rock. That's all I know.
I got to rock.
So, but very excited for that to be back.
Ran.
Now, the big news, of course, the space news, was that they launched an actor into space.
Yes.
But not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about the great Bill Shatner. No.
Nice pause. You did that well. The great
pause.
Bill Shatner.
Yes. Yeah. But no, I mean, that was amazing news. That was incredible. I loved somebody pointed out that Henry Winkler was wishing him, Godspeed on a Twitter. And he's like, 9-year-old me just exploded because the Fonz just wished Captain Kirk luck on his space journey on my little handheld computer. But we're not talking about that.
No.
Russia beat us in the important space race. Tom Cruise, you got beat. Tom Cruise was trying to be the first movie filmed in space. Now, I don't think that's true, because there's been a couple space station documentaries that have been filmed with IMAX cameras in space.
Yep.
So wait a minute.
But I think that's how they're differentiating them. It's,
that was documentaries
as
where this is.
To
Russia sent up
then it's time
a director
we put that footage into a creative
and
film.
an actress, and they used space station crew, including a cosmonaut, to be the patient in this upcoming film that they actually will be the first movie filmed in space. It's pretty kind of a cool story that she's a doctor on Earth, and she's been sent to make a house call with a patient on the International Space Station. And so where do you film that?
Wow, that was a real stretch.
On the International Space Station. So they got up there, they filmed, and the director had some fun comments. They actually filmed some bits right after the landing where they separated them and they did stuff in character before they did their regular interviews and stuff.
Cool.
So we'll see how it turns out, but I thought that was pretty darn cool.
We probably won't see how it turns out. But,
and he's wanted to do a sequel on the moon and a sequel on Mars later. So
that's ambitious.
That's a good direction.
Come on, Elon. You got to get those actors up there.
That's why Stanley Kubrick faked the moon landing, but he insisted that they film it on the moon because he's a stickler for perfection. So.
Well, there you have it. He's got a he's got some opportunities coming up anyway.
Yep.
This next one. This is amazing. I am so looking forward to this just because it looks like somebody's doing it right.
So, you guys both watched the Munsters growing up, right?
Oh my
yes,
God, yes.
Of course.
So when little, obviously, when we first saw it, my neighbor friends and I, we used to pretend we were the characters.
Nice.
Of course.
And so we had so much fun with that. And we still watch it now, actually, because it's on, I don't know, one of the local channels here.
Really?
It is.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it is.
Ion runs it a lot.
One of those.
Yep.
But it's so cool to see that the spirit of the Munsters is still, it's carried on this far, and that we're going to see something, like you said, Anthony, it looks like it's going to be done right.
Yeah. Despite several other attempts to destroy the franchise, it has survived.
Yeah. Well, I think the one from the Pushing Daisies guys called Mockingbird Lane was actually pretty good, but it just didn't even make it past pilot. But this is Rob Zombie's
Yep.
So
and his wife is,
of course, cast in it,
yeah.
which
is interesting. I mean, Yvonne DiCarlo, was that her name?
Yep.
Yvonne was an absolute. Oh my God.
Doesn't
he looks good.
Yep.
He looks good. Yvonne was basically a
movie star.
No, beyond movie star. She was a glam. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to go into like sex pot model babe.
Yeah.
You know, she was quite the heartthrob. And so when they brought her in with the long flowing, everything, it was like, oh my God, we've got Yvonne DiCarlo. It was like, Raquel Welch.
That's Al Lewis, who played Grandpa back in the day, who ran for mayor of New York before he died, which was pretty cool. And he was mad that they wouldn't put him on the ticket as Grandpa Al Lewis. But which is why I would have voted for that man,
of course,
for anything. But he was talking about him and Fred Gwynne when she first showed up on the set, because they were just two goofballs who'd been doing all these comedy bits, Carpenter, Where Are You, and all this stuff.
Yep.
And then here comes this glamorous icon.
Yes.
And then they're like, oh God, how do we treat her and all this? And then she was just as funny as they were. And I think they said something about her just ripping a fart right off the bat just to break the ice. And so they were like, all right, we're good. We're good. She's going to be awesome. Now, what's funny, that show premiered the same week as The Addams Family. Most people don't realize that.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
That whole
which came first?
Deep Impact and Armageddon thing, it went back even further.
Yeah. And both studios just kind of were developing it on their own.
Yep.
I could go into Munsters lore for hours just because I was such a fan. My favorite thing is the guy who made the car.
Oh, yeah.
Bob Burr, who also made the car for the Batmobile
and
the Monkeemobile. He made all these things.
Oh, my God.
But what was great was they wanted to build Grandpa's Roadster, the Dragula.
Yes.
And they needed a coffin, so they went to the local funeral home, found the perfect coffin, and said, we're buying it. And he's like, no, you can't have that. That's my display model. And I'm like, well, we need it like today because I got to actually build this car by this weekend. And they're like, well, no, come back in a week. We'll get you a coffin. So they went and broke into the place that night and left a pile of money for the coffin and the window damage and just took it and left. Love that story.
Those were the days.
But yeah, so we'll see if the house looks amazing. They built that in Hungary.
It really does.
So that's where they're filming to take advantage of some tax loopholes and stuff. So Rob Zombie, king of low budget cutting corners and all that, but still making it look good. So
nice.
We'll see.
Fingers crossed. All right. Let's see. Wonder Woman 3 is officially happening.
I say it's kind of cool. You're going to see the new Wonder Woman with the original Wonder Woman.
They're saying that. They're saying it because she was in the teaser at the end of 2.
Yes. Yeah, she was in there at the end of the second one.
And everybody agreed that was the only good part of 2.
Well, and that's the thing. The reaction from pretty much everybody was that it wasn't a good movie.
It was
the 1984.
It was pretty terrible.
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure 1984 was when. Well, actually, she was 77, 78. Yeah, right in then. 76, 77. And so, that was great. So 84, yeah, she was still big, still popular, still hanging on boys, dorm room walls. Yeah. But this was, it was neat having her there at the end. And maybe she'll be back. Who knows? It may just be, I doubt it'll be another cameo, though. But honestly, Linda Carter's not that great of an actress.
Oh. I'm sorry. I beg to differ. She's a comedic actress. And that's the thing that people forget, is she's really good in a couple movies she did. I think my favorite was Sky High, where she played the principal at the superhero school. And she was Principal Powers.
Yeah.
And I loved her bit at the end was, what do you think I am, Wonder Woman or something? Yeah. But she was also in Super Troopers. And a few other comedy movies recently.
Okay.
So, and always playing, bit roles, but she nails them spot on. So she's got comic timing.
Yeah, she's got comic timing. I don't see her as having the dramatic, ability to deliver like, say, Dwayne Johnson, okay? I mean, I just don't see it there.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, all we know is Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot met with DC, and apparently it's a go.
Yep.
And Patty Jenkins is also making the Rogue Squadron movie for Star Wars.
Oh, wow.
So we'll see what happens. That should be before this next Wonder Woman, but we'll see.
Yeah, because that stuff's all messed up now, and we'll get to that in a little bit.
It's a lot of wait
teaser.
and see.
Yep. Now, I have some news about one of my favorite superheroes.
Yep.
So this is comic book news today, gang. We're not doing our little snippet things anymore because they took 20 minutes. So we're just going right into comic book news. Comic book news, this is big news for me. One of my favorite superheroines has done several different permutations over the years, and that is She-Hulk. And she's got a Marvel series coming up that's for Disney Plus, where they're going to introduce her to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And she's going a little bit back. They're not to her roots. When she first came out, she was Savage She-Hulk, and she was basically a female version of the Hulk. Then, after a little while later, John Byrne kind of made her a snarky, smarty version of herself, and she hung out with the Fantastic Four, became an Avenger, and was a bit more like that. But her alter ego, Jennifer Walters, was a lawyer. So a little while later, Dan Slott, who's like one of my favorite Marvel writers, came up with a version where it was She-Hulk the lawyer. And he wrote a series with her dealing with superpowered crimes. And it was probably one of the greatest comic series of all time. It was funny. They broke the fourth wall a few times. They had a lot of fun with it. Really, really good. And then Marvel Civil War happened, and they had to dark, gritty reboot the entire Marvel Universe because that's what they did. This is right before the movies started happening.
Can I ask, the burning question? I mean, it's like, how did someone else fall into Bruce Banner's gamma ray machine?
She is Bruce Banner's niece and got a blood transfusion from Bruce Banner, and that is what happened. So, and that's how she became She-Hulk, which is why she only has a portion of his strength.
Right.
Well, then when they did the gritty reboot, she became Savage again, and then they've made her Red Hulk, they made her Red She-Hulk, they've done all these crazy things with her, and all of us fans from the Dan Slott era and the John Byrne era are like, really, she's just another Hulk,
Yeah.
So now they're going back. They're going back to the roots. And Rainbow Rowell is writing it, and she's been an amazing writer, wrote Runaways, created Lumberjanes, and some of my favorite comics. So I am excited.
I like that.
I'm excited for this series.
That does look good.
I'm sorry I talked 5 minutes about She-Hulk, but
Don't be
this
sorry.
isn't Comic Book
Don't
101, but
Yep. No, that's very, very cool.
I am thrilled that is happening. So just in time for the new show. So.
It'll be interesting to see, for sure. All right, so then, besides Anthony, who doesn't like Mel Brooks?
What?
Oh, yeah, she just outed me.
I
right
told you I
here
was going to.
The hell
on
you say?
streaming international television. I've just been outed
I told
as someone
you I was.
who, other than Young Frankenstein, I got
Blazing Saddles?
nothing. I hated
Yeah.
Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, I love
producers?
Spaceballs. He thought it was
Okay,
horrible.
okay, stop. Producers, totally not a Mel Brooks film.
It totally is. He created it, wrote it, directed
No,
it.
I know that.
Both
That's a-
versions.
But compare it to things like, History of the World or Spaceballs. Okay?
I'm not a big Spaceballs fan.
Absolutely not. You are or not?
I'm not. I'm not
no,
a big Spaceballs fan.
that's actually what turned me off. Well, Blazing Saddles, I'm like, I have no interest in Westerns. So I didn't go watch it. And then when I heard what some of the elements were, I'm like, I'm glad I didn't.
Oh, it's amazing.
Because that's not me.
It's still one of the best
And
comedies of all
then when Spaceballs came out, I watched it and I was actually offended.
Yeah.
I was offended on behalf of Star Wars.
Oh,
There were moments
Yeah.
that I enjoyed.
I
I
enjoyed
like
it.
moments. And Robin Hood Men in Tights, I admit, was terrible. And then it got worse and worse
Actually,
until he redeemed himself with
Yeah.
the new musical versions of the producers and Young Frankenstein. So, but
well, maybe he's going to do okay with the History of the World Part 2. However, not
wasn't
knowing.
there already a History of the World Part 2?
they did.
Well,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, go.
I know.
Go.
There was History of World Part 1,
Right.
which is an amazing sketch movie. It's different eras, different characters playing
Right.
multiple parts throughout time. It is hysterical. It's one of the great classics, unlike what Anthony thinks is classic. But we don't talk about those. But they're amazing. And but one of the teasers at the end. They wrap up right after the French Revolution, and they did a post-credits thing. It was really pre-credits. They did like 2 seconds of credits, and then they were like, wait, see, History of the World Part 2. And they did a bunch of real quick snippets of things, including Hitler on ice, which was one of my favorites, and it was just Hitler skating on an ice rink. And a Viking funeral, and as Vikings take off their helmets and their horns are just part of their head. Just great little visual gags. But anyway, we all joked about it. Where is History of the World Part 2? History of the World Part 2? And he's like, it's never going to happen. It was a joke. Well,
and now they're coming out with it.
It's amazing.
Now, it's going to be interesting to see what parts of history they choose, because given today's vibe, you know it's going to offend a lot of people.
Now they brought
by what they choose or don't choose.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, it's like, Blazing Saddles was written by Mel Brooks and Richard Pryor. So that's why it was as hard-hitting and amazing as it is, and pulled no punches, because Richard Pryor wrote it. Now, Richard Pryor was not allowed to star in it because the studio came down, because he was very controversial at the time. And they brought in Cleavon Little, who did an amazing job with it. Let's be fair, Cleavon Little was awesome in Blazing Saddles, but it was not, it was not Richard Pryor. But now he's bringing in Wanda Sykes for History of World War II to give that perspective, and then he's also bringing in who was the other? It was another modern.
That were listed.
Yeah, a lot of big name comedians are coming in for this.
I'd love it if you brought
Brooks
in
is just producing and supervising, so I have a feeling this could be good. If they go drunk history style with this, I am all in. So.
Sounds like a great field trip for
Drunken
us.
history.
But now I'm going to be singing the Inquisition song for the rest of the day, so in my head. So,
Thank God it's almost
History of
nighttime.
World Part 2 is so
Or
good.
it is nighttime. Well, so that's on the list. Okay, now we are going to jump over and do some actual space science. Science. Number one, Hubble has revealed the evidence of something that those of you who remember, here's a hint, okay? Those of you, they've found bottled water on the moon of Jupiter. If you remember 2010, the year we make contact, at the end of the movie, the aliens kind of give up the fact that there's something special going on one of Jupiter's moons, and it was Europa. And interestingly enough, Europa is a giant sheet of ice. Underneath it, they hypothesize there are oceans that could support life. And now they have actually identified that there is water alive and well and living on the surface of Europa.
Yeah, they found water vapor.
Yeah, they found water vapor on half of it.
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's only on half of the moon. It's probably the half that aims towards the sun or something like that.
I think it's the half that aims towards the planet, so
towards
the
planet?
sun's not hitting it.
Oh, and evaporating it constantly. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because Jupiter itself is pulling it towards itself, so it doesn't rotate like the other, moons. So
yeah, Europa's got some cool stuff going on, and so now we have another shot at life in our own solar system. And the thing is, what could if there's actually a shell there, and there is sufficient volcanic activity under the surface, and this moon is bigger than Pluto.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's put that in perspective. Then there's a shot that there could be anything from microbes up through to full civilizations living underneath the surface of this ice, and they would have no idea.
Definitely something we wouldn't understand.
Wow.
And
I mean, talk about Truman Show moment. Yep. They're living inside a bubble, literally,
but not as we know it. So that's just it. It could be anything, and with the strange gravitational pull and all that of that planet, it's just amazing. The nerd in me is exploding.
It is. I mean, it makes me want to go research the hell out of what the environment might be like, and then hypothesize what kind of civilization.
And it's one of those ones we can't send much to because we can't get the stuff back. Because Jupiter's pull is so much that when we launch something to it, it's just going to, if we try to launch off of it, it's 90% likely going to get smashed into Jupiter. So.
Yeah, exactly. We're lucky to get the Hubble scans back. Yep. Of course, they come in bent anyway. Because
look how far away, those beautiful Voyager pictures of Jupiter, you see how small it is in those pictures because we're thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of miles away because we don't want to get that
you
close.
Can't get that close. It is, the second sun in our solar system. Yep. There are those who hypothesize that it was a sun that didn't ignite.
Yep.
We should have been a binary system.
We just better make sure we don't send any matches up.
I actually had that idea as a storyline, and I ran it past my 10th grade science teacher. And he said, honestly, it would be, if we sent every nuclear bomb we had, it would be like throwing a match into a 55-gallon drum of kerosene. Nothing would happen. Yeah. It would just go psst, and just burn out. It's just, there's too much there to try and ignite. So that's some cool stuff out of the Hubble. NASA, on the other hand, has actually come to the realization that if we're going to put people on the moon, they're going to want to use their cell phones. I mean, not exactly, but if you think about how everything we do is so interconnected and how we do everything through Wi-Fi, they're like, crap, we're going to need Wi-Fi on the moon. And so they're actually figuring out how to build a Wi-Fi network on the moon.
And they've been talking with Musk, and he's been trying to tell them, hey, let me send my Starlink satellites up there, and we can orbit the moon with Starlinks, and then we can have internet up there, and it just and we just need to build a chain, and it's
now it won't connect to our internet.
No, but it would be their own.
Yeah, I mean, if it does, it'll be by dial-up. Okay. Yeah.
Just the little AOL connecting. Man, can you imagine the hours or the minutes that would cost you back then? Oh my!
No streaming. It's going to be basic internet connection.
Yeah.
No streaming, no gaming.
I remember waiting 2 days for a JPEG. I think it was Elvira, actually.
Oh, that's awesome. So
good stuff.
That's on the to-do list in the world of realistic science. But now, let's get back to the world of gaming.
All right. Yeah, I guess. Look, we do have
Gaming World. What is happening in the world of gaming?
So, I got to wait for this to finish.
Yeah, you don't.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's done. All right,
there
good.
You go.
I use that as my break time there. So, but no, the big news: the Xbox Game Pass. For those of us who are Microsoft loyalists and are never going to buy an iPhone, no matter how much AT&T wanted me to this weekend. No, I got a Samsung. Thank you. No, the Game Pass itself, which is this great service Microsoft does that you can. It's like the Netflix of gaming for Microsoft. You sign up and you get a lot of free games. Well, one of the biggest games to come out this year was from the guys who did Left 4 Dead. They did Back 4 Blood. They didn't have the rights to Left 4 Dead anymore, but they did a spiritual sequel, and it is amazing. And this would have been a $60 game for every person who wanted it. Oh, but guess what? Day and date, Game Pass, you could download it for free and play. And I did, and I'm hooked. It's a blast. I spent some time playing that this weekend, browsing with my survivors, did some multiplay. It's very good. But that's a crazy thing. I mean, if 10 years ago when I was still a GameStop manager, that digital games were still a new thing, and we were trying to figure out, is that going to put us out of business? This sort of thing could. Sorry, GameStop, that $100 stock ain't going to be there long, so enjoy it while you can. And then, now, for retro gaming news, this was big for me. I had to put this one out there. So, the man himself, the King of Kong, that the villain, if you ever saw that documentary, King of Kong, but is actually really not a bad guy, Billy Mitchell, who was the world record holder and is the world record holder of the perfect score on Pac-Man. He's the world record holder on Donkey Kong. He's the world record holder on Donkey Kong Jr. I think some Japanese dentist beat him on Donkey Kong recently. But he still holds a lot of world records.
You gotta wonder. I mean, does the phrase "get a life" ever come into play?
He's here in Florida, but he did this back in the 70s.
He's Florida?
Yeah, he's a Florida boy. So he did this back in the 70s, and he still holds it though. And he reclaimed the Pac-Man perfect score in the 90s. Though there was some contention of it, saying that he didn't do it on a machine, he did it on MAME, And
it was now this is, what I was reading into it was that it was basically he was accused of using an emulator rather than using the actual game itself, and so that disqualified his score. Now, I didn't read where they actually verified that it had been an emulator.
Guinness came back and verified it and said it wasn't an emulator and that it is legit and it is now
exactly.
a legit
But I mean, they
score.
took it away without verifying it.
Well, that was the problem.
That was the
Twin
problem.
Galaxies, which is considered even Guinness licenses Twin Galaxies to pick who runs the best scores on everything. Twin Galaxies, Walter Day founded it. He always wore a referee jersey. He still does it to this day. But he sold Twin Galaxies to this other company, and this other company was not a Billy Mitchell fan. So they pulled all his records. Well, now, thanks to Guinness and him winning his lawsuit, he can now sue that company to get his records restored and get put back on the leaderboard. So I met him. He was a super nice guy, very friendly, and he loved my gyrus score. Like I said, couldn't be. I know he's portrayed as the villain in King of Kong, and rightfully so. He is a bit of a jerk, but I can't say bad things about him because I couldn't do that stuff, and it's amazing. So
he has
glad he's got his chance in the sun again.
Chuck, we're working on the audio. Make sure that it will be at a volume level that will not be killing your ears. Or is it just the stingers that are too loud? Do the stingers have sound? But we're going to go ahead and try to make sure that we aren't hurting anyone. And I know that that's easy for me to do because my normal volume is shout. Here is a kind of a weird story. We've also seen those robotic dogs from Boston Robotics.
Yeah,
they're very cool. They get around all kinds of terrain. And then we've all heard the stupid stories about how they're going to that they've put guns on drones. Mm-hmm. Which is really not possible. Well, because any kind of kickback from a regular gun is going to practically knock your drone out of the air.
But that's why they're like suicide drones with grenades on them and stuff like that.
Sure, that's one thing, okay? But I mean, they're actually like, oh, look, this is a drone with a machine gun. It's like, no, there goes your
some
drone.
Point it will probably happen.
Yeah, but why can't you put a gun on one of the Boston Robotics dogs, huh? That's what we need. And with AI to choose the targeting.
Oh, look at that. Somebody did.
Yeah, they did.
Yep.
And this is now this is like Ed 109. Okay, I'm sorry. That's all I see. Hey. That is the early version of Ed 209. Yeah. And honestly,
he's a good boy.
Scares the
He's a
hell
cute good boy. Look at those little cheeks.
Absolutely.
Look at the caliber on his tail. It's awesome.
That scares the hell out of me because, I mean, Terminator.
Yep.
Skynet becomes self-aware.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm down.
I mean, this is I'm hearing Jeff Goldblum. Just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Exactly.
And you're sitting there, you're arming robots. You're arming
There's at least
things that have the
700 movies
potential.
that tell us that this is not a good idea.
Yeah. I mean,
how many episodes of Doctor Who and Star Trek and everything else?
Yeah, it's like the cyber dogs instead of the Cybermen. Yep. Okay. Yep. And it's a bad idea to sit there and go, gee, I'm going to arm this alien intelligence that we have created because they are being run by artificial intelligence. They are hoping that by putting the AI in there, it'll help them target better. Yep. Oh, that's what I want.
Yep.
Yeah, when you consider AI right now can't even really differentiate a lot of the fact-checking that it's supposed to be doing through social media and allowing different things to go through, I'm not going to trust that with shooting people.
And again, 9-year-old me is just cool that there's dogs with guns on them, that robot dogs with guns on them.
I know. So. Look, I'd be okay with sharks with laser beams on their heads. Okay, I'm all right with that because sharks are, they're living beings. But this thing here, this thing has no concept of anything.
All right, so we're in science fiction is reality now.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some fantasy that's reality now. Why don't you go on to yours there?
All right, so New Zealand, They, in Christchurch, they have a town wizard who has been there for 4 decades. Started as something, just a guy who was welcoming people, helping to boost the morale and everything within the city, became a staple. The city started paying him. He was literally the icon of the city. And after 40 years, they have told him goodbye. They're taking it in a different direction, and they no longer need
We want to
the
be
services.
a modern city. We want to be viewed as, and I'm sorry, the man is now 80 years old.
Yep.
They couldn't freaking wait.
They couldn't wait. Yeah, they couldn't let him.
I mean, look.
I'm sure that's
okay.
what they've been thinking for the last 10 years. Is
I know.
come on,
Now,
yeah.
Well,
but
it's
I
not
mean,
like it's
they're
breaking
paying
the
him
bank.
like $11,000 a year.
Yeah, he's
okay.
not breaking the bank.
No, and
He makes
is a
appearances.
staple. He makes
does-
appearances.
he does wizardly
represents
things.
the city.
I love
yes,
that.
Yes. His job descriptions includes going around town and doing wizardly things.
This is the place that made their entire nation economy is rebounded because of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, 90% of their tourism is because of a wizard.
Yes. Yeah.
And now they have a town that before they made the movie had an official wizard, but they're like, oh, we don't want to do with
And
that
before Lord of the Rings, it was Hercules and Xena. So come on, it's, this was.
I mean, they have
Yeah.
a giant magical background there.
Yep.
And so, and I'm sorry, the man is 80 years old. For God's sakes, what are you thinking?
$10,000 a
You want
year, let him be a
PR
wizard.
backlash?
That he's talking about he's still going to do these things even without getting paid.
Well, the original thing was he did this kind of as protest. He was an outside
Yes.
protester, and the city finally just said, "You know what? Let's pay the guy. Let's have him because this is
After
kind of
they
cool."
arrested him.
Yeah, after they arrested him.
After they arrested him, yeah, because he's not. He'll speak
Amazing
out.
story.
He'll speak about anything.
This is begging to be a Netflix movie itself. The story of the New Zealand wizard. Taika Waititi. This one has your name all over it. If you're not making 500 more movies this week.
There you go. So that's what happened in New Zealand.
Yep.
What are we on to now?
Oh,
Boom.
This is some more science.
Science. Yes.
Scientists have
scientific men
achieved
were doing
the
scientific things.
coldest temperature ever recorded, which I could still go in the room without a jacket because I do not get cold.
Yeah, I moved to Florida
yes.
for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you could go in without the jacket. You would just start to behave really strangely.
Yes.
Because when you get down close to absolute zero, weird things. Light becomes liquid.
Yes.
You can pour light.
Yes.
I mean, think about
It's
that. Liquid light.
And
that's
there's
better than
all
transparent
these
aluminum.
Crazy things that happen around us.
Yes.
And the problem is we'll never actually theoretically, we should never be able to get to absolute zero because as you get closer and closer and closer, the more energy, the more things you have to do it
To get there.
exponential.
It's
eventually
like approaching the
infinite
speed of light.
energy
Yeah.
is needed to get to the infinite zero.
It really
So-
is the opposite of the speed of light.
Yeah.
What you have to do is you have to. The thing about absolute zero is it's when all molecular activity ceases.
Yeah.
When there is no motion, there is nothing producing any energy or any heat. That is absolute zero.
Electrons lose their static, so they don't even hold. So two atoms can actually be in the same place at the same time without exploding.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, everything goes wonky.
only New York taxi drivers are capable of this.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
they do it well. But the difference between them, they'll both be honking at each other while
they're doing it. So,
So that's how you know they're in the same
yeah.
space.
And they are moving about the same slow speed, too.
Yeah, only because the meter's running.
Yeah, yeah.
But in this case, it's how they did it
Yeah.
that was so freaking cool.
This was
This was
This
crazy.
is science gone mad. This is amazing.
Yeah, because it's like incredible, complicated theoretical physics bombarding this thing with a magnetic field. These what was it, rubidium or something?
Yep.
Okay, that they're sitting here and getting all this going on, and then they take the entire device, okay, and
Drop it.
and they drop it, and so while it's experiencing zero G.
Yeah, 'cause they had to
The
drop it in this
gravitational
huge shaft.
pull was actually giving energy
Yep.
to the atoms.
Yep.
And so by removing the gravitational pull, by letting it free fall within this container that was firing it with the magnetic everything. And I'm sorry if I'm talking over
Yeah,
everyone's
we're
head
done now.
here.
It's enough.
Okay.
Just look it up.
but
It's awesome.
it's just like they were able to get it even colder than it's ever been recorded before.
Yep.
But
closest absolute zero we've ever gotten.
Exactly. Which, you got to wonder, it's, things like the speed of light and absolute zero, they have this, you remember the old thing about how, if you get, okay, we're 2 feet apart, now we're 1 feet apart. Or 1 foot apart, so we're halfway closer.
And then we keep moving
half and half. We'll never actually get to each other.
Yep.
Okay, that's kind of how this works.
And that's
they keep
how I
getting
live my life with
closer,
you, so.
but it takes so much more energy that you never get there.
So.
Yeah, well, we actually technically never do touch, even if we touch.
Depending.
But, but that's because, physics.
Anyway.
Yes.
Moving on.
Okay. This is interesting. Disney is delaying the release of Doctor Strange 2, Thor 4, Black Panther, and Indiana Jones 5.
Didn't
a lot of
we
projects.
just talk about how a lot of things were being moved up because of the success of the other movies?
Right. But then somebody hurt his shoulder.
Yes.
Well,
And that's the crazy thing. You can read into this, okay? Because what they say is that they have everything so tightly scheduled that it's much like, I don't know, the supply side of everything in our current, just-in-time economy. Okay, one thing goes off and everything starts to crumble.
Complete domino effect.
And when Harrison Ford hurt his shoulder and they had to set it back, it causes a chain reaction that they weren't able to adjust around.
I liked how Kevin Feige, spun this, though. He's like, look, this is, instead of 3 months between the next few movies, it's going to be 5 months between the next few movies. And that's, we're still all the Disney Plus stuff going out in between and all that.
Sure.
And this gives them more time to make the movies better.
Well, some of the Disney Plus, because you're not getting Mandalorian now.
Yeah,
'Cause
or
Mandalorian
who knows?
was
This
delayed.
all may
and
stop.
God knows what else is going to happen. But all of this is production work, and for some reason, they have no ability to bring in extra production people.
Well, that was
Don't
one of the
ask
reasons
me.
why, I guess originally they were going to air the 3 episodes of WandaVision on the first night, and they decided not to because they
needed to drag it out.
They needed to drag it out a week because they weren't finished with the effects for
Right.
the last episode. And now Mandalorian, now this with Hawkeye, they did make it where it's going to be the first 2 episodes are going to premiere for because they didn't want it to end the same day as they start Boba Fett. So they wanted to have a week apart. So
Okay, yeah, that would be good. Yep, give people time to adjust. But now I think we have. Do we have some?
we got some trailers.
trailers?
Yeah.
Do we have a trailer park?
We talked about Black Phone at the beginning. So
Yes.
can we watch the trailer for that real quick?
Here it is.
All right, look at this.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
staying over at
it's
Cindy's tonight.
okay. This is very Strange Things or Stranger Things.
Grab
Okay,
It, and
fairly
everything.
Yeah.
Small town. A lot of kids missing.
Because
But
you can't
let's
hear
let the
me.
kids walk home.
Jumanji. Okay, same thing. But yeah, the kids are gonna walk home from school. There's a black van. Nobody thinks twice about it. Oh, and everybody runs into people dressed like a clown all the time. And they're never freaked out by it. Now, I have to say, Ethan Hawke's acting right here is completely endearing.
Yeah. Oh, he
If
does.
I were a 10-year-old, I would have totally trusted him.
Yep. And that's what they do.
And
It's
that's
very Ted Bundy-ish.
boom.
Yeah.
To see a magic trick.
Yeah.
Although the creepy face. is
Forget
just-
Stranger Danger, right?
Yeah, exactly. Come
Well,
on.
you do
Didn't they
because
watch that?
he's
It's
nice.
Blumhouse, so
was abducted.
love them or hate them,
What
they
if I
do
could help the police
solid
find
entries in horror. They don't ever, you get what you get with a Blumhouse. Some people hate them because they're, quick and to the point, but I'm actually cool with that. But this is like a slow burn. So.
It really does.
Oh,
I'll scream.
dun, dun, dun.
Scratch your
There
face.
is a lot going on here, and whatever
Shades of
the
Joker.
situation is, yeah, very much so.
What happened in your dream?
He was taken.
Like I said, it's got
Yes.
definitely potential. It's looking good.
As
Emily Rose is a
yeah, I
Good
mean,
movie, so-
it's got a good pedigree. The basic plot of this phone
Looks
and
dark.
I don't. Yeah, That may be the monitor. This is the kind of thing I have to watch at night at my house because I got a big projection system. During the day, we just don't see anything.
Yeah.
But no, this is a long preview.
Yeah. This is
but it's cool because you got two things going on at once. You got the kid with the phone getting calls that are actually from all the other kids who are missing. At the same time, you've got a little girl who is dreaming of what's going on with the missing boy. And so it's not just one set of supernatural things going on, it's two, and they're colliding. And they're colliding for...
Bravo for Ethan Hawke trying something so different for himself with this. So.
No, what else has he been in?
Mostly he plays like the young boyfriend or the
Dead Poet Society.
Yeah, or something. But and he does a lot of voice work. So it's cool just to see him be the, go in a little
psycho villain,
Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees style.
Yeah,
but definitely some creepy vibes. A little bit of slasher, a little bit of supernatural. I'm all down.
Yeah,
so
it looks
I'm
awesome.
all in.
February 4th. So that one, and then you want to do the.
I don't think we have time. I think
we have time for the Doctor Who. Isn't it a short one, you said?
It's pretty short, but I think it's still like a minute and a half. But the Doctor is coming back, and it was a surprise, coming back Halloween.
Halloween
we expected
or
a Christmas, but no, it's coming
yeah,
Halloween.
That's what it was. Oh, so it's going to be a Halloween special.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome sauce. Now, where can we watch that, though?
It's going to be a BBC America, worldwide, and this is the last season with Jodie and Yaz, and then their new announced companion, Dan. And we'll see how it goes. A lot of fans are happy because it's Chibnall's no longer there. We're sad Jodie's going because we actually liked her. We just wish she had better writers.
She was just getting good.
Didn't they just finish the Regeneration episode?
They finished filming it.
Yeah.
They just finished filming it. And apparently we're going to get a season, and then we're going to get a few specials.
Yep.
And they just finished the last filming of the season. Now they're still going to film a little more specials.
So where is the speculation on who's the new Doctor?
It's in the works. Russell T Davies is taking back over, who brought it back when 2005. He was the one who brought Eccleston.
So he's probably going to decide who the Doctor is going to be, and then they'll edit it into what they've just finished filming.
He and BBC will, they'll edit in. Wow. She apparently filmed a regeneration scene, her part. Right. So we'll see who takes over.
All right, who would you like to see as the next Doctor?
That's a difficult question.
Yeah, it is.
That's another show.
Yeah,
we'll do that next week. Give us a week to think of the list.
Too many people.
But this week, I'll be at Spooky Empire. This weekend, I'll be there.
Where is that and when
Friday
is that?
night, Orlando. It's the biggest horror convention in the Southeast. I'll be there Friday night doing a reading, and then Saturday I'll be signing at our booth. And I have a couple panels Sunday with the great Al Goingback, Bram Stoker winner. Bram Stoker Lifetime Achievement Award. We're going to be talking cryptids of Florida on Sunday, so that'll be fun.
The least haunted state in the country.
Yeah, exactly. Good, apparently. But and then you guys will be. Some of you will be here next week for Nerd Talk. I sadly won't. So, but because I'll be recovering from Spooky Empire's post party.
Yes, and hopefully you won't have Croncud.
And it's like Halloween week, so it's like I'm doing a bunch of library talks. I'll be zooming to a lot of Miami hotels, and I mean zooming, not driving to Miami.
Hey guys, we're out of time. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching us on WeBeam TV Live, and we will see you next week. Take care.